Yeah, recording in progress. Okay, so I tried two computers, and on one computer the password didn't work because I just moved here, and for some reason it didn't work on the second computer. And the other computer, there was something playing in the background and I couldn't turn it off. So thank God I have an iPhone.
Yeah,
So nice to meet you online. How are you?
pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I just came back from the park. So uh but I usually keep my commitments. I don't, just because it was a nice day, I didn't cancel. So let me see my call. Okay, Mike, why don't, instead of me accessing LinkedIn, let's just get to know you. Mike, so you're in Iowa, is that it?
hmm Yeah,
Okay.
I live in this little tiny historic town of LeClaire,
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah.
That's where they do I think the only thing that they know, well, it's known for is that show American Pickers is filmed here.
Okay.
And then also
Okay.
it's right along the Mississippi River.
Okay. How was the weather today? Nice?
About 45 degrees
Oh my
and gray.
God. Oh,
Yeah,
it was 60. It was 64 here. That's why I was at the park sunbathing.
oh, 64 would be
So
64 would be perfect.
would- yeah, yeah. Too bad you're not here. You should come visit someday. Did you ever come to California?
No, I never have. I've worked a lot on films from California, but I've never been there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, good to know. So it's something you can do in the future, I guess.
hmm
So you are a producer of music or film?
Yep, both. I've been
Both.
doing. I've been producing music for record and film for almost 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you do like soundtracks.
hmm Yep.
Wow. So was it the friend who produced the movie who asked you to compose something for the movie?
You mean as far as
As
how it all
I,
started?
yeah, yeah,
I started being in. I sang or played guitar in bands, like
yeah,
rock metal bands.
yeah.
Toured around, and then that's how I got into recording. Was producing our own records, and then I started working mixing and mastering for other record labels. And then one day, this film director from Germany called and said, he wanted me to do music for his film. So I did that. I'd never thought about doing that before. And then I've
And
been,
he has said yes, I'll take it.
yeah. I mean, this was when I first started, and it's been like 25 years since then. So um, I've just been doing music for film ever since. And I still release records and produce records for other people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So he led the path for you.
Yeah, because otherwise I would have never would have thought about getting into doing music for film or TV.
What was your first idea for career?
I just wanted to be a rock star, but that
Oh,
doesn't
rock star.
but that doesn't
Okay,
pay
so
the
you play
bills.
the guitar? Did you ever
Yeah.
play the guitar?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay. So you can still play, I mean,
Yeah.
the guitar.
Yep.
Although playing in a club nightly is very tiring after a
Yeah.
while.
It seems like something, when you're young, that would be a great thing. But then after a while, it's like
Yeah.
you get tired of sleeping in trucks and floors, and then it's like I'm older, I need nice hotels, to sleep in, and it's these days it's just hardly worth the money, you know.
Oh, yeah, of
Everything.
course. Of course. So after paying all your expenses, you end up with only a little bit of money, not much.
Yep.
Yeah, I when I like 20 years ago, I used to tape bands and everything, and they didn't make any money. I mean, they got paid maybe $300 for the night, but after paying, like you said, the equipment and the transportation and everything, they barely had enough left to share between
Yeah,
the band.
right.
So they did it mostly for the fun of it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to rely on it to
For a
live off
living,
of.
you need to have a
Yeah.
day job. Yeah,
And
so
for years and years, I've always thought, God, it'd be great to do music full time and quit my day job. Well, now I'm at an age where it's like I would never quit my day job. Just show up, and it's like I like having health insurance and a nice retirement. So
okay, so you do have a day job.
mhm. I work
Okay, okay.
I work for a company that makes metal for aerospace and Boeing. So
Oh,
I'm a
that's like engineer. You're on the engineering side.
I'm a quality advisor.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's a good environment. I mean, like you can work for SpaceX one day.
Yep.
Who
Actually, we
knows?
make the job where I work. They make parts for SpaceX.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. Send a
Yep.
letter to Elon Musk and tell him you're one of a kind, and he'll hire you.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't care. He doesn't care about degrees, and he doesn't care about any of the standard um, things that other employers ask. He just want to know if you have a logical mind and if you can solve problems. So that's his main criteria. And he interviews all his engineers and staff. He doesn't rely on HR. It goes
Yeah.
directly to the CEO. That's a good way to do it. I hate when I have to go through HR to get hired because they
Right.
don't know what the boss wants.
Yeah. Yep.
They just want to, have a position, and and they don't know exactly what to ask, and they just want to basically interview as many people as they want so they can fill in the 8 hours a day they have to work.
Right.
It's a
Yep.
very bad way of running a business to have HR, I think.
Yeah.
they
I
they
agree.
s- they spin people wheels and they don't compensate them for coming to the interview, and you're just nurturing a job for them, not for yourself, basically.
Right.
When you go to
Right.
interview, it's a system that needs to stop ASAP. Thank God um, Elon Musk is leading the way for that. But
So one
anyway,
thing.
we
So one thing I always
we
think
were
of. Oh, go ahead.
no, things are evolving in this world, and I wish what's happening nowadays was happening 30 years ago. So I spent so much of my wheels going to interviews to no avail because the job was already filled before they interview you. It's
Mhm.
then you got to know how to play the game, know someone in the company and all that. So go back
Well,
to you.
the one
Go
thing
ahead.
I've decided is when you go for a job interview, they're not only interviewing you, but you're
Yeah.
interviewing them because you have more to
Right.
lose than they do. All they're doing is paying you for your
uh,
time. You're giving
mm,
them your time. So
right.
are they worthy of them? Are they worthy giving them your time?
Yeah, exactly. And some of them, you remember 30 years ago they used to have EEO, equal opportunity employer, EOE, and they had to interview every ethnic group on the book before they picked someone, even though they already picked someone who was a friend of the boss, right? But by law they had to interview everybody to show about the law, that they did
Right.
try. Yeah, so the whole thing is a game. So when I found out that it was the game they were playing, I stopped going to interview altogether. I just decided the best way to get a job is through a friend. And
Yep.
that's the only way I got jobs. Like someone would meet me, they didn't need to see my resume or anything. Either they want me or they don't.
Right.
And that's the way SpaceX does it. They don't look at resumes or any of these BS and references and all that stuff. You remember in the end of resume, we used to put 3 references and all that BS?
Sure. I've actually talked to, now I worked for a steel company
Yeah.
that was actually a Canadian-owned company, and then they sold it to a Russian company.
Wow.
But throughout those years, I mean, I was a machine operator, supervisor, but I still, would help with the hiring.
Yeah.
And when I started this job after that place closed, I actually happened to talk to one of the HR people, and I said,
Oh.
"So is it exactly how I think it is? Like you don't actually read people's resumes?" And she said, "No, we don't. I
I
mean, that
know.
you'd be sitting there for hours if you had to read a stack of, and besides that, who are you going to remember anyway?" I
Yeah.
said, "So is it like I'm thinking where you're only looking for golden words in that resume?" She goes,
Exactly.
"Yeah."
Yes.
And I said, "Okay, you're looking for words like, excellent attendance or
Okay.
safety, And I said, "What is the golden word for this place?" She goes,
Oh.
"Well, big companies, it kind of goes in different waves of different, you know. So the word, the 2 different golden words that they want to see on a resume, regardless of
Hmm.
what you've ever done or where you've ever worked,
Yeah. What are the
one
golden words?
is uh, diverse environment.
Wow. Wow.
The other one, and I said, "What's the number one word here?" And they said, "Integrity." If you put that
Oh.
if you put that word on your resume, it doesn't matter where you worked. That's the word we're looking for.
Oh. They want someone with integrity.
Basically. And I said, "Okay, well, what's the company's what is their definition of integrity?" Said, "Well, it's the basic thing.
Honesty.
You say you're gonna show up and do what we need you to do, and then
And you deliver.
and you do it."
Yeah. Integrity is very important in any area of life. If you're going to accept pay from someone, you got to give them their money's worth for the number of hours you're going to work there, right? But that's part of your upbringing. It's not really something that you think of putting on your resume.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of BS. I remember 30 years ago, I hired someone $90 just to do my resume, and all he did is take my resume that I have already written and put just a little sentence on top and a little sentence at the bottom, and he said, "Here, that's $90." I said, "Is that a joke?" He said, "No, that's the way I do it. I take your resume and I add a little opening and a little ending." I say, "Wow, what a ripoff!" it's
Well,
all it's all.
look at it this way. If that resume works, $90 is basically you spent to learn everything that he knows
Oh,
to make a
okay.
resume. So
Yeah, yeah,
technically, you could, if that resume really works, you could do the same thing for anybody's resume and get your money's back, you know.
yeah.
So
And you know what's funny? Also, you remember you used to be job fairs before the lockdown and all that,
yeah.
and they would ask me, "Would you like to be a volunteer to review resume?" I say, "What?" I say, "Okay, I'll do it." I mean, I have no qualification or anything to do so, but because I was a volunteer, I was reviewing resumes. It's just how the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. If they need you for something, they'll take you. They don't care if you can do it. Or they
I'll
don't
tell you,
care if you have done it.
I'll tell you how crazy HR and hiring is. So when
It
I
is.
started this, so when I started this job about 7 years ago, I had put in several resumes because it's like I heard, well, there's so many people trying to get on. There's like always 5,000 resumes.
Yeah.
Well, I happened to get on through some connections.
Yeah.
Well, about a year after I was hired, I got 2 rejection letters saying, sorry, we're not hiring.
Oh, okay.
Then about 2 years later, and I'm still working here,
Mm.
the phone rings, their hiring calls and said, are you still interested in a job with us? And I said, I've been working there for about 4 years now. Oh, so they had no, that's how,
They didn't even know. They didn't know.
that's why, after experiencing that, the whole HR system is so messed up.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no reason to ever take any of it personal.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
yeah. It's some of those new startups, they don't have HR anymore. They just hire directly from the person who needs them.
yeah,
Like if you are the CEO of a company, you would just say, okay, come on in, tell me your story. If you like them, you hire them. It's as simple as that nowadays.
yeah,
So the all HR just fading away, thank God.
yeah.
uh, so I'm glad it's moving in that direction.
So
Um,
what did you end up doing then for for for
well,
work?
because I didn't like to go, like I said, through the interview process, I decided to just be on my own, self-employed on sales. And this way I don't have to report to anyone and I don't have to go through HR. I was basically self-employed, and and then I was still producing my show in the local studio here in San Francisco, and I still do. They're reopening in May, but for the past 2 years, I've done a lot of Zoom. That's what
Okay,
they told us to do. I mean, they advised us to do if we wanted to keep our show going. But now I'll go back in the studio and do maybe something different, because in the studio we used to have a huge studio where we could do also performances and not just interviews,
okay,
and things have evolved over the years, what used to be easy to do in the past, like having a huge studio where you can have a full band like yours, or like a performance, dance performance. Nowadays, it's no longer feasible because they reduced the studio sizes so small that it's ridiculous. I mean, they want just to, I mean, real estate is so expensive nowadays that they rented the smaller space. And what used to be almost for free, huge, is now extremely expensive in San Francisco.
I had a friend
So
that just got back from visiting San Francisco, and they said, "Man, I don't know how people live there because it's so crazy expensive."
it is, it is, it is. I don't know what I'm doing here too.
So then when I see people like you, where it's like, man, they're making a living doing their art and stuff like that, and it's like, I've been doing
I
this for
do,
30.
I do
I've been doing
call,
this
I
for
do, yeah,
I've been
I
doing
ask
this for
for
30 years, and there's no way I could ever, you know, make a
make a
living doing it.
living, make a living.
Yeah.
Uh, when I have time, I do call some people to sponsor the show. I put their logo on my website,
Okay.
but that is only like 5% of my activity, not even. I spend most of the time either uploading the shows or looking for a guest, or decided deciding what to do next, or going outdoors now and tape an event and then putting it together with an interview to make a full show.
Okay.
So now that events are starting to happen, it opens up new avenues for me again. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, where you would like to do music full time, but life makes it impossible.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if I could get, make some sort of decent, return on
Music,
it. But
yeah.
yeah, there's no way I
But
could ever.
the only way you'll make a living is to go to Hollywood, where that's where the industry is, and there you'll make connections with other producers, because that's like the mecca where everybody join and network and hire each other.
But you still have to live there.
Yeah, yeah.
You still have to.
Hollywood is not Hollywood is not as expensive as San Francisco.
Now I've gotten. I mean, I work on films from all over the world, and I just work out of my studio. Musically, you could do that because it's just file transfer, and I've got quite a network on two different LinkedIn's and Stage 34, but I think even
Oh
Hollywood,
yeah,
I think it's just such a corporation where you have to get through so many hoops, or you
yeah.
have to know somebody.
You got to know someone. That's the key. And also, you got to actively seek it. I mean, you cannot just wait for it to come to your life. You have to be very active. But are you on your iTunes now, or Spotify, or one of those?
I think I've had albums on Spotify and stuff, but for doing the film stuff, I have like a SoundCloud that I put that out everywhere.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
when you approach someone, let's say in Germany, uh, and say, "Oh, I heard you making a movie. Would you like to hear a soundtrack of mine?" And you send them a sample.
Yep. Or
Yeah.
I'll
So you,
ask them. Usually, I'll find films that are in kind of pre-production, and then I'll find out. Ask them if they've got a composer lined up for this project so far, and a lot of them don't, because most projects, the majority of the time that's spent with projects are the fundraising, and finding the investors. So
yeah.
a lot of times I'll get offered to do a film and then say, yeah, we definitely want you to do the film. And then I won't hear from them for another 2 years. And I've forgotten
Wow.
all about them. And it's okay, we finally got investors to do the film, and I'm like, who are
Yeah,
you?
yeah. One time I worked for 2 years, like you said, raising money for a movie, and you have to send the paperwork to the investor, and then you have to convince them to invest. And I made good money, like it was like 25 years ago. I made good money doing that, but just for one film, it was working full time, 8 hours a day to raise the money.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
not as it's not what people see on the screen. They think it
No.
happened like that. It's like there's 2 years of work behind it before we even get
Right.
started.
Yes. Yeah. And that's
And
why
people,
I try to network with so many directors and producers, because just finding the projects that happen to be at the at the right timing, of them needing you. That's, a lot of people, how many films do they do in their career? You know,
yeah,
most of the time, like I said, they're spent fundraising. And so, you've got to network with so many people so that the odds of somebody having a project, ready to free to work on is there.
like 1 out of 10 doesn't raise the money because they tried
Right.
it, so ends up in a drawer and nobody
Yeah.
produces it.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the business, unless you have friends who are very wealthy
Right.
and they fund the whole project. But like I said, even to have friends who are wealthy, you got to go out there and meet them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's something you might want to consider, to move to California. uh,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
No?
Way too expensive.
How much is a one bedroom in Iowa?
So I bought this house. Um, it was it's like a ranch style. It was a 3-bedroom home. It's totally redone, gutted and redone. It's a corner lot, 2-car garage. I bought it for a brand new house, 56,000.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So in California, this house would probably be worth
2
almost a million,
million
almost a million. So I mean,
at least. At
there's
least.
no way, after living here, not only that, but how much are you
Yeah.
paying for gas out there?
Oh, it's extremely expensive. Over $5. Yeah.
Yeah, see, gas here is expensive at 378.
Yeah. Here it's a lot more.
And so I live 15 minutes away from an airport anywhere I want to go. So
Oh, okay.
I would never live there, but it would be way cheaper to fly out there a few times a month than it would ever be to live out there.
Oh, okay. You can also connect with people on Zoom, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
You don't have to fly there. But of course, if you want to take a trip that will get you out of the house, and then you can
Yeah.
go network. And then networking, I heard in LA, if you don't network, nobody knows you. You got to network daily.
Oh yeah. Day and night. I mean, when I'm not in the studio, or at work, that's what I'm doing. And
Network.
I think these days it's a lot easier because Zoom made it a lot easier to have meetings with people.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, that's
I mean, that's what
true.
everybody
That's true.
does.
I do miss networking in person though. I mean, I used to meet like at least 50 people a week, and now it's just like very little. But they're reopening in May, so that's the good news.
That's good.
So, yeah, so I don't know if you guys had a lockdown in Iowa.
We didn't. We never
No?
did. I mean, we had
Oh,
the mask thing, but
but not the
we never
lockdown.
did. No, I never stopped working.
Oh.
I was surrounded by a lot of people with COVID, but so
But did
far,
you did you network like in a hotel or in a club with other professionals?
nope,
No.
Zoom.
Oh, just Zoom. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. Here we used to have like 3, 4 networking working events every night. We could pick and choose. And after the lockdown of March 2020, all of a sudden everything shuts down.
Yeah.
Everybody found themselves isolated.
Mhm.
But even I interviewed producers last year, even though they didn't work, the government paid them.
Yeah.
Like, let's say their contract said they would get paid 100,000, the government would step in and pay that
Yeah.
because California is very rich. And so all these producers who had like millions of dollars lined up, they got reimbursed by the government.
Now, a lot of film projects, of course, were put on hold during the whole COVID thing. But if you were somebody that did like post production or like doing
Oh,
music,
there was still work. There was still
oh
work.
yeah, I think during that whole year where it was really, when COVID was bad, I think that was probably my busiest year.
Oh, for the editing.
Yeah, for doing music and editing and voice editing and you know
So yeah, you could have sold stuff at that time. Yeah.
and
And did you,
I mean it really never changed how I work at all because I just work from my studio and I'm sending out digital
samples?
files. Yeah.
Yeah, digital files. Yeah, yeah. I remember for a while YouTube didn't have the software that checks the copywriting before they published. now they do check before they publish.
Yep.
And they shut down so many YouTube channels. But now, before they even post your video, they do check the copyright. And they tell
Yeah.
you in advance whether you can post it or not. And that's the biggest thing that I have done the past 2 years, is come up with that idea to check first so they don't have to shut down a whole channel. Took me
Yeah.
3 months to get my channel back up. I taped like the Beta Breakers, which is a race in the street, and somebody was playing a music from their window. And YouTube shut me down because they said that music, even though it was in a public event, was copyrighted. So I called the music manager, and he said, no, you can't. Even though it was out of your control, was on the street from a balcony, we cannot grant you to play it. And they shut down my channel. So I had to call friends and everything. It took me over 3 to 6 months to get my channel back up. But it was a nightmare just for copyright issue.
Yeah.
Since it's your music, you don't have to run into this. I guess it's yours.
No, but when you work with TV and film, the worst thing is, I mean, you have to still sign a lot of contracts saying that, you own this music, nobody else, you're the only one that worked on this.
Exactly,
Even
exactly. You
they're
don't
so
copy.
they're so
Yeah, you don't
afraid of,
copy other people.
right. Basically they just sent out this, most projects send out the same generic form that says basically, you're not infringing on anybody's, basically, if we come back and get sued, you're going to have to pay for all of the court
Oh,
costs. So
of course, of course.
that's the only
But you
that's the only thing that in that whole contract that they seriously
take
care
seriously.
about is, if we get sued from your music, you pay all the legal costs.
Oh, but everything you compose is 100% yours. You don't copy
Yeah.
somebody
Yep.
else's. Oh, okay.
And they're so strict nowadays that a lot of synth patches and software, it has to be totally yours. It can't even be, even if you
From another
use,
source.
yeah, yeah. Just
You cannot
because,
use a software to modify the music.
right.
I
Yep.
see, I see.
So,
Oh, so you
everybody is, so many people are so afraid of legal,
lawsuits.
issues, that
Yes.
they're so afraid. That's why, that's one of the, if you're a composer, one of the issues is that most people go through production libraries because of the fact that it's cleared. That middleman takes care of all the legalities.
Oh,
Even though they're sending you the same contract saying, if we get sued from your music, you have to pay all the legal expenses. So it's the same thing
oh,
whether you were to use uh, a the middleman production library or whether you actually worked with a producer director. It's the same contract, basically,
oh, no,
except
because
the middleman makes money off of you. But they're doing the legwork trying to, get your music to projects. So
but it's really restrict artists, because artists don't care about these things, copyright and all that. They do a mix of music in their music videos, and then all of a sudden they cannot publish it because there's somebody out there saying, oh, that's not my music, that's my music. All of a sudden the work of art is not published.
I think it's how you, yet on the other hand, it's, you do see people doing covers of popular music and then posting it on YouTube. And I think how they
No,
do it.
it's only if the author authorizes it.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I post something and they say, "Oh, your music, let's say it's an old music, 30-year-old song, but the author is authorizing you to play it." So that's really good because then they allowed to run advertising on my video
Yeah.
and the author benefits from it, the
Good.
composer. So if the author say yes, she can use it, then YouTube say yes, you can use it. It's between all three of them.
Mhm.
It's a three-way contract kind of thing. Me, the composer, and YouTube. YouTube has to be cleared because they get lawsuits. And me and the composer, it's the same with Facebook. If you publish anything copyrighted, they shut down your Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to have a Facebook with 5,000 friends. They shut it down, and I decided not to use Facebook anymore, and because they
No.
shut you down for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah. If you're an artist, you definitely don't want to use Facebook. Originally, the reason why I got into Facebook was because of the groups. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
where if you put in, I mean, I had hundreds of filmmaking groups from all over the world, and you know, each one of them potentially, could have anywhere between 5 and 50,000 members in this group. They're all new potential um,
Customers.
markets for you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But even them, they're
The
so
the
spammy, and
yeah.
it's just
The only person that doesn't give me any trouble is LinkedIn.
yeah. LinkedIn is what I use the most.
Yeah, because they never bother me, they never go after me, they never shut me down, knock on wood.
Mhm.
Because I have like 15,000 now. But Facebook and YouTube, they shut me down. I mean, and also because the CEO of Facebook got sued for copyrights infringements. And so now they're very, very careful.
Yeah. The thing about YouTube is that when you put your stuff out on Facebook or on YouTube, it's going to get stolen anyway. I mean,
Oh,
so
yeah,
regardless how
the
strict they want to
hackers,
be,
yes.
I mean, no matter how strict they are, if you want something, you can get it. You can take it.
Yeah, my Facebook account got hacked. I mean, like 20 years ago, they used to hack all the Facebook, especially in China with fake picture ID.
Yeah.
Now Facebook have found a way to track these people. Uh, but that's a whole subject in itself,
Yeah.
security and all that.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, sorry about that. That's the way it is when you use your iPhone to record a show. But it was interesting to talk to you because I can see from your point of view what you have to go through as a producer, and also me as a producer artist. I have to now restrict myself in how much I can do or not do. I used to produce a lot of music videos. Now I can't. I'm afraid to infringe on people copywriting.
Um,
And that's
a lot of people, I come from before the internet, and when I still think it's a lot nicer and easier these days, because I remember anytime that I would release an album,
yeah.
you would have to buy per thousand discs, and half of them you'd be sending out to distributors and magazines. So I mean, you were spending tons and tons of money just to get your stuff out there, whereas nowadays you don't. You may not be making as much money, but you've got a lot more people than ever before seeing your work for free.
Oh yeah,
Or,
that's the other good part. Yeah. Yeah, you can always put your stuff on LinkedIn. They won't bother you at all.
you know,
I don't know if you tried that,
oh
but you
yeah,
can.
yeah,
Yeah. LinkedIn, they are really cool. They're in San Francisco, by the way. They have an office here on Montgomery. So I respect them a lot. I mean, they're very ethical. business oriented.
Yeah.
If anybody put any trash out there, they remove it right away.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Facebook has too much trash. Yeah, unfortunately, too many people get in, and just little kids who are not professionals get in. But in LinkedIn, it's more professional to professional. I like that.
I
So
think
it was good that we.
Facebook's probably good if you want to share, family pictures. But other than that,
Other than that,
professionally,
is
I believe it's on their way out.
totally,
It's a-
totally, totally. I agree with that. That's why I'm not building my Facebook account anymore. I used to build my Facebook. Now I just leave it alone, and I don't even go to it more than 2 minutes, just to share with family something, a picture with family. Other than that, I don't care about Facebook, period. So yeah, it used to be very popular when they just popped in 20 years ago, but now it's just down their way out. Although businesses use Facebook for advertising a lot.
I just go
But
there for
anyway,
I just go there for the occasional cat photos or cat videos, but that's about it.
oh, do you have a cat?
Yeah, we've got 6.
6? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Don't judge. I'm the crazy cat guy.
Oh, do they have a yard to go to?
They could if they wanted to, but they're indoor.
Oh, because it's cold. I see. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a cold state. Midwest is cold. Okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing. People move to California because life expectancy is higher because of the good weather. In San Francisco Bay Area is mild weather, so you live the longest. So a lot of doctors and attorneys and surgeons, they move to California because they know their life expectancy is higher because it's not harsh weather. That's another thing they take into consideration when moving to California.
Yeah.
Yeah, harsh weather reduced your life span. I mean, your life expectancy.
It's cold in the winter and hot in the summer, but
Oh, and
fall
now
is
it's
nice.
spring. Spring is
Spring
okay.
spring and fall are nice. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice to meet you online. I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I'll follow up with you on LinkedIn. And
Okay.
I'm glad I was finally able to do it on the iPhone until I get the internet here. So thank you so much.
Okay. Let me know how I can further help.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, send me, maybe you have my email, send me a little music. I can post it at the end of the interview.
Okay. All right.
All right. Sounds
Have a
good.
good
Thank you.
night.
You too.
Bye.